What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on what I think will be Caitlin Clark's her role next season with the Indiana Fever, right? Because with all the success that they're having, in the playoffs, they won their first series, then they went into the second series and they beat the Aces, but they lost game two, right? So right now they're tied with 1-1. But with this success that they're having, this kind of like as far as Stephanie White and Kelsey Plum, like this gives them leverage as far as like how to move forward as a team. Now, I do think that Indiana Fever still needs Caitlin Clark, right? No matter how much success they have this year, I think they still need him. I need her because I remember when the Houston Comets, when that league first started up, the Houston Comets had some success without Cheryl Swoops, and you never heard anybody say that. I don't know if Cheryl Swoops if she was pregnant at the time I think she was pregnant and she missed that first year, that first season. So they won a championship without Cheryl Swoops. But everybody, even then, everybody couldn't wait for Cheryl Swoops to get, to get back and join the teams. And I think that's what it was. I think she had a kid that first year of the WNBA when they started up. So, and like I said, none of the talk or conversation was about, Cheryl, this team don't need Cheryl Swoops. When the Cheryl Swoops came back to the Houston Comets, that just made them more dominant. And I think it'll be the same way with Caitlin Clark. But the thing about that is they have to find a way to coexist. Even what's the guy name? I just even Jason Whitlock, seems to agree that the Indiana Fever need to, well, the coaching staff, Stephanie White, need to find a way where as though they can coexist. And so let me find what this guy Jason Whitlock says. I think Jason Whitlock made some good points when it comes to how they can manage this situation with Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Plum, and Aaliyah Boston.
Mitchell is a great WNBA player, the near equal, and this will sound blasphemous, but the near equal of Caitlin Clark. And when they were talking about taking the ball out of Caitlin Clark's hands and letting other people bring it up and initiate the offense, there was a lot of resistance from Caitlin Clark. What Stephanie White was arguing is like, hey, Caitlin, you get so much defensive attention full court that it actually works against us having you bring the ball up every time. And then with your style of play, the ball may never touch anyone else's hands. And I've got someone like Kelsey Mitchell who's really good. And I got someone like Aaliyah Boston that we spent a first round draft pick on. They can get a bucket.
All right. So, and that's what a lot of people have been saying as far as like Caitlin Clark, like she don't have to work as hard as she do to get the ball up the court. And then so because as everybody know, those teams would just pressure her all over the court, 90 feet. As soon as that ball coming into play, somebody was on her. And so instead of allowing somebody else to bring the ball up, at times Caitlin Clark was working hard to get the ball up. And everybody see now that Kelsey Mitchell can really score the ball. They also had somebody, and sometimes a young lady, Odyssey Sims, she bring the ball up. They had other people. Once Caitlin Clark got hurt, they had other people bringing the ball up, and that pressure was not the same. And so it's I think, in my opinion, it's always going to be dangerous to have Caitlin Clark out there because she could hit that logo three, or even if you play up on her, she's going to go past you and maybe probably dish the ball off to Aaliyah Boston. So you want Caitlin Clark to be fresh in clutch moments, right? Or if the clock is winding down, if she's worn down and all beat up and then the game is close, and then y'all got to go into overtime, she probably won't be as effective. But you have other weapons on a team, whereas though she don't have to work as hard, then that's just going to make her even more dangerous, I think, in my opinion. And so the question remains, right? The question is, will she be able to, well, not just Caitlin Clark, but will Stephanie White be able to have Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell coexist? I think they can coexist. And for the simple fact that even when Caitlin was healthy, Kelsey Mitchell still was able to get her points. Aaliyah Boston, I thought she looked better when Caitlin was healthy because she benefited from all the attention that Caitlin drew. And that's what you want. That's what you want from Aaliyah Boston anyway. You want her to be somebody who benefits from having Caitlin out there. And so like you gotta play her honest, because if you don't, then Aaliyah Boston, she's gonna dish it off to Aaliyah Boston, and Aaliyah Boston's most likely is going to be in a position to get an easy basket, especially if the defender is helping out. So you really can't help out on Caitlin, help out if you're playing Aaliyah Boston, because Aaliyah Boston is a threat. She's somebody who at times she probably could demand a double team. Not very often, but she's solid enough and really good enough, whereas though you got to respect her at all times. So the thing is, can they have this thing work out? Can they have these young ladies coexist? And if they do, I think this team can go on a run. If Stephanie White can find a way for these women on this team to coexist, I think they'll be able to go and run off a string of championships and be competitive every year. Because with Caitlin Clark, it just gives them so much versatility. The fact that she can hit that three, that long logo three, that even strengthens their half court game. Like going into this series right here with the Las Vegas Aces, I thought that their weak point, like they can run out. They probably, if they can run the Aces off the court, because they got, that's what Kelsey Mitchell, her strength is. Like on a fast break, she's unstoppable. And they have other athletes who just run it. Running is not the strong point of the Aces, right? What's the girl name? Asia. Asia Wilson is not really, she's not gonna get up and down the court like that on a fast break. She's good for like the follow up and putting basket. If somebody miss a layup, then she'll get the rebound and put it back. But she's not filling the lanes and just sprinting out there like that. And you really don't want Asia Wilson out there sprinting the lane like that, because then you wear down and you can't take advantage of her talents in the half court. So that's the Aces know, like what their strengths are, and they stick to it. They don't try to have her running up and down the court. Same thing with like Aaliyah Boston. Like you don't have Aaliyah Boston just sprinting up and down the court, filling all the lanes. She mostly there for the, when she get down there, if it just so happens to be a situation where it is garbage, a basket to be made, she'll take advantage of that. But with the Indiana Fever, once they run, like they have their primary break, if that's not there, and then imagine leaving, Caitlin Clark, or she'll find an open space somewhere, a time or two, and she'll hit a wide open three. So that just puts so much pressure on the team. Imagine coming down on a break and you hustle back down on the break and prevent the team, Indiana, from getting a layup. Now Caitlin Clark she's looking for a opening where she can get that wide open three off, and she do that a couple times, 3 or 4 times a game. That can really be demoralizing. Like their secondary break, that layup is not going to be there, but that 3-pointer, a couple times, and then that'll bust games wide open. So, like I said, the whole key, in my opinion, for the Indiana Fever is going to try to have these young ladies coexist and get them to, and I think so. Kelsey Mitchell said she loved it there, and you can tell that Caitlin is happy there. So I think these young ladies will be able to coexist. So That's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.